Her name is synonymous with versatility, talent, and the flair for the dramatic. From Shakespearean stages to primetime TV, from Harry Potter to Poirot and Marple's Agatha Christie mysteries, and beyond. Tonight, we're shining the spotlight on the personality of the remarkable actress whose career spans decades and continents, the bewitching Zoe Wanamaker.
Poirot, he has arrived to Devon. Mais pourquoi?
Because there's something amiss. I think someone's going to die.
My channel is in large part dedicated to mysteries and period drama series and movies, British in particular, and Zoe Wanamaker is definitely a household name when it comes to this genre. For example, Zoe's portrayal of the eccentric Poirot's friend, the apple-loving mystery writer, is nothing short of iconic. By the way, the charming Ariadne Oliver is in some part an alter ego of Agatha Christie, the fact that she admitted in her autobiography.
I don't think I heard you properly. Pardon?
Ariadne Oliver is a middle-aged novelist who gets inspired by the crime she sees in her own life and then uses it as a plot for her next bestseller.
Mrs. Drake says you're a writer, the one who does the murder stories.
Yes.
You must make a lot of money out of it.
One of the foremost writers of detective and other sensational stories. Sounds much like Christie already, right? Oliver has also created her own fictional foreign detective, and just like Agatha, Ariadne often struggles with her own creation and contemplates her frustrations.
What was the subject of your talk?
My writing. Awfully pleased not to have to give it as a matter of fact. I mean, what does one say about how one writes books? You just think of an idea and force yourself to write it. What am I going to say for the other 59 minutes?
What a rich soil for artistic interpretation, right? Yet I won't go into much detail here about the universally beloved character of Ariadne Oliver. I do have a particularly detailed episode dedicated to her on my channel, so have a look at it after you finish watching this video.
I don't really know what I should do. What would you do, were you me?
All in all, Zoe Wanamaker starred in 6 series episodes of Agatha Christie's Poirot by ITV. Her chemistry with David Suchet added a delightful dynamic to the series, making each episode she appeared in a treat for viewers.
It's the yin and the yang together, and that's why they get on. That's why they tolerate each other.
By the way, Wanamaker also played alongside David Suchet on stage in All My Sons at the Apollo Theatre in 2010.
He's not going to marry her.
How do you know he's even thinking of it?
However, much like it happened to other starring actors from Agatha Christie's universe pictured in movies and TV adaptations, before becoming the regular, recurring character of one of Poirot's sidekicks, Wanamaker made her debut in another role. Back in 2005, she played a leading character in the fabulous Murder is Announced episode from Agatha Christie's Miss Marple. Geraldine McEwan is playing the old lady sleuth. We talked a lot about her on my channel, and Zoe is delivering a particularly sophisticated portrayal of quite an intricate character of Letitia Blacklock, who invites the village crowd to an evening party where a real murder is happening to quite a shock of the gathered crowd. I wouldn't like to spoil the pleasure for those of you who haven't seen this episode, yet indeed no one would mix her here with the fabulous Oliver.
Well, I know one thing that's going to happen, and that's at 7:30 we'll have half the village up here agog with curiosity.
Especially the old fogies. They love a good murder.
The undoubtedly brilliant actors like David Suchet, Hugh Fraser, or say Joan Hickson, who starred in key roles in Christie Mysteries, they all got closely linked to their respective characters. Zoe Wanamaker is an actress who has managed to stay as versatile in this profession as one can possibly be. So, who then she really is?
No, the answer, madame, lies in the past. You must delve into the past.
You know what? Somehow I've always been thinking that Zoe Wanamaker is a quintessential British actress to the core. So yeah, I was even surprised to learn that she was born on the other side of the Atlantic on May 13th, 1949 in New York.
Happy birthday! Happy birthday to me!
She is the daughter of Canadian actress and radio performer Charlotte Holland and the renowned American actor and director Sam Wanamaker, of Russian Jewish descent, whose parents escaped the empire running away from the merciless pogroms. Sam Wanamaker surprisingly moved in the opposite direction. The thing is, he had all the reasons to have that fear of becoming blacklisted in Hollywood and even framed due to his communist views in the 1950s because of the anti-communist McCarthy witch hunts. So the family fled to London when Zoe was just 3 years old. This way, she was brought up in Hampstead, and all she remembers of the Wanamaker's country house in Connecticut is that it was pretty wild and wolves howled in the distance.
You was at school with Lady Ravenscroft?
Yes, I was.
Where do you live now? Buckingham Palace?
Mayfair.
How may we be of assistance, your ladyship?
In London, Zoe's mother, Charlie, decided to quit acting, while Sam became extensively involved in English theatre while continuing film and television work, and soon Zoe followed in the footsteps of her father. In fact, she was the only girl among 3 daughters in the Wanamaker family to take up acting. By the way, as a little digression, did you know that in that famous Tarantino movie, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Sam Wanamaker is one of the characters, played by Nicholas Hammond?
Sam Wanamaker. Hey, Sam, sorry about the wet hand. Oh, don't worry about it. I'm used to it with you. I just want you to know I'm the one who cast you, and I could not be more delighted that you're doing this.
Well, thank you, Sam. I appreciate it. That's a good part.
Yeah.
Although Zoe was brought up and mastered her skills in London, we'll talk about that soon, she still always felt herself an alien. I've always felt that I was American because the English speech rhythms and word patterns took me ages to learn. Sometimes Wanamaker would even feel desperately miscast because everybody else in the company seemed to have terribly English backgrounds. Hasn't she ever performed in the States? Oh yes, she did. For the first time she went there with Trevor Nunn's Once in a Lifetime in 1979, and then continued with Piaf alongside Jane Lapotaire. And just like in this ill twist of fate, being on stage with the same shows they performed in Britain, there was something that made her feel both at home and, well, in a totally different set of decorations. For the first time in my career, I knew I was home. Not only geographically in America, but theatrically too. I could hear the lines as I read them. Broadway was terrifying. There is a lot of fear around there which just doesn't exist in the English theatre, and if you don't get above the title, which I didn't, they make you feel less than nothing.
On the calendar, it's a different place, but here, without the dollar, you don't look the world in the eye. Talk from now to next year. This is life in America.
In addition to differences at work, in everyday life she always felt American in England and vice versa. Although they did offer her some new gigs in the States, Wanamaker decided to still follow her guts. They did ask me to stay, but none of the offers seemed very exciting, and having originally thought that I was going back to my Broadway heritage, I in fact found that I had become somehow rather too English to cope with the life out there.
I'm well aware you think me irrational. That, madame, it is your intuition.
Whatever it is.
Perhaps that was one of the major reasons Wanamaker decided to return to Britain and not pursue her career in Hollywood and Broadway as she initially planned to. I suppose my sensibilities are English. My thoughts are more closely associated to the British about such things as money and values, manners and language, the actress recalled back in the day. So yeah, she is an American, yet so British actress. Zoe once shared that she decided she wanted to act at the age of 10 after spending a summer in Stratford with her parents, who were obviously opposed to that early choice of their daughter and trying to protect her from the bitter competition and rejection which goes hand in hand with this occupation. Zoe was a difficult child. As a character, I was always dramatic. I fancied myself as something romantic. It still holds true. I have always liked being other people more than myself. And that really answers why I chose to become an actress, because I never wanted to grow up.
You are a woman who is most sensitive. You are affected by the atmosphere, by the personalities that surround you. These are the inspirations for your brain that is so fertile.
When Wanamaker had to grow up, at least technically, she first attended Hornsey College of Art, where she tried painting in a pre-diploma course, but found it too much like hard work. She then tried to take a course on speed writing and even briefly worked as a typist, yet all that didn't suit her personality at all.
And your talk tomorrow?
Well, I've been meaning to have a word with you about that, Judith. I'm not feeling too clever.
So finally, Zoe applied for a place at Central School of Speech and Drama. Acting was there all the time, she said, and eventually she couldn't avoid it. In fact, in the beginning, Wanamaker was sort of emerging from the shade of her father's reputation in the industry and was long perceived as Sam's daughter. There was not only her famous surname, but quite amusingly, the face that she felt didn't belong to her. But it really belongs to my father, here especially, and she would sketch a circle around her nose and upper lip. When I left drama school, I thought I'd never make it because my face wasn't normal. The actress recalled in one of her early interviews. I used to watch people's reactions when I went for an audition. I could usually get that far because they wanted to see what I was like, daughter of a famous father and so on. It helped me to get my foot in the door, but after that, nothing. They'd look me over and I could almost read their minds. What could she play? How could we use her? And it was because they thought I looked odd. It's the reason, I suppose, that I've done a lot of costume parts. No one seems to think I have a contemporary face, and that's quite something to live with.
I've just realized I've got to cut one of my favorite ideas. Shame.
In the mid-70s, Zoe even used to think that her face was, ugly. Well, ugly in the context that it's an individual face. I'm not complaining. I can never be typecast. Well, this works as an explanation. She's indeed not a typical heroine of any sort. Actually, we talked about this phenomenon in my videos about Margaret Rutherford, Joan Hickson, Angela Lansbury and other actresses of the past who had to follow the comedian path without even a shot for leading dramatic parts. That was the perception of their individual physical features among directors and content producers of their day. Zoe Wanamaker was lucky to enter the acting path decades later, when something had already begun to change. So, back then, in the 70s, Zoe was proclaimed one of the brightest young TV acting talents on her own merit, right from the get-go. In theatre, Zoe's career began with 4 years at regional theatres and then took off with the well-earned critical acclaim for her roles in classic Shakespearean plays such as The Taming of the Shrew and Much Ado About Nothing. It's curious, yet the latter was almost doomed. The worst moment in my career, the actress said, since she was to take over someone else's part in that play. I was expected to behave and play my part exactly like my predecessor. I was not allowed to improvise or develop the part within myself at all. At the time the director was in New York, I was told that only if I paid for all the telephone calls would the company be prepared to consult him. Luckily, she managed to get out of the situation brilliantly. Remember that gig on Broadway we talked about previously? Like they wanted her to stay, yet she decided to get back to England. Well, frankly speaking, there was something more to get back to in addition to the ever-growing English identity. The Royal Shakespearean Company offered Zoe Wanamaker 3 comedies at Stratford, so why not, she thought. Her extraordinary talent quickly made her a beloved figure in the theatre world, and the British stage in particular, so eventually Wanamaker became an associate to the National Theatre and an honorary president of the Shakespearean Globe. A curious detail, it is directly related to the life project of her own father, Sam Wanamaker, the reconstruction of Shakespeare's Globe Theatre on the South Bank in London. He was passionate about building a faithful replica of the Globe and spent 27 years trying to get his project finished.
It's emotional because he's not here to see it, and it took him so long, and you witness how wonderful it is when you go inside, when you see it, and you feel that I couldn't understand why it took so long.
He was awarded a CBE in early 1993 and sadly died later that year of cancer. So when Queen Elizabeth II opened the Globe in June 1997, Zoe Wanamaker was the first person to speak on stage when she read a passage from Henry V. In year 2000, Wanamaker met the Queen once again when she was also honored as CBE, Commander of the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire. If we start to look at each of her engagements, from Chekhov to Shakespeare to Sophocles, that rich tapestry of roles and performances, this would take us hours and hours, and we still miss something, that's for sure. She definitely became a major evergreen success on stage, whichever age group and role she was offered to play.
You are retarded. That's not a beard, it's fungus. Is there hair down there? Or is it all shrunken like a mossy statue of some baby man?
An array of prestigious award nominations and subsequent wins says it all. All in all, for her stage career, Zoe Wanamaker was nominated for 4 Tonys for her appearances on Broadway, as well as won 2 Olivier Awards for her work in London's West End for Electra and Once in a Lifetime, a statement her outstanding talent and dedication. Wanamaker is obviously indebted to theatre for the shape her career has taken, yet luckily went beyond that and expanded her engagements to films and TV. Like, for many, she would be Tessa from BBC's series Love Hurts, or this hilarious matriarch Susan Harper in My Family, another BBC primetime hit sitcom that was there for 11 seasons over the course of a decade.
Listen, I've decided to put an end to this madness that is ruining all our lives.
You gonna kill Dad?
No.
For younger folks, she is the enigmatic games mistress Madame Hooch in Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone.
Welcome to your first flying lesson. Well, what are you waiting for?
Some adore her Agatha Christie engagements we already spoke about in such detail.
Chère Madame, you should not work, you should rest.
I have deadlines, Poirot, in sickness and in health.
Her versatility knows no bounds, and she has brought a unique spark to every role, indeed. Having begun her career more than half a century ago, Zoe Wanamaker is still here, not planning to step down out of the spotlight. Yet now she seeks out projects based on how intriguing they are, something unlike anything she'd done before, or, in her words, something completely nuts. These 5 decades of an exciting acting journey weren't made of highs only, yet obviously contained its lows. Wanamaker has always been self-doubting by nature. My job is to act. I don't have the confidence to be a personality. That was another reason she rejected that transfer to the American scene early in her career. She was frightened of having to experience rejection there after seeking out roles. In England, I'm sent scripts, relieving me of the strain of chasing down parts.
Ralphie, I worked too hard all my years to be treated like dirt.
You see, somehow Zoe thought that she wasn't very good, although did maybe have something. Acting is a craft, she said, not a calling. The more you do it, the less awful you get. So I just kept working. Drama documentaries on television, a Young Vic season, whatever came along. Quite typical for an introvert sort of character, right? Her friends often describe the actress as very caring and sensitive, even naive and too trusting, as if she wears her heart on her sleeve. And certain lack of close and trustful relationships is what Wanamaker always regretted having chosen theatre as a profession. Apart from the odd hours, is that my circle of friends is somewhat limited. And in the love relationships department, Wanamaker has also been a sort of a loner for quite a long period in her life.
You need to love. You need to understand what it is to love. You carry on about the future and the great bright world, but you are scared to love.
Well, she obviously had long-term passions and once confessed that she preferred Englishmen to Americans, yet she never fancied starting a proper family. It's hard enough to find time to feed myself, let alone be responsible for anything else. I'm not good on my own in that I can't fix the veto if it goes wrong, but then I'm not saying I wish I had a man around. That's boring. Even in her roles, Wanamaker at some point noticed a pattern. Many of them could be described as long-suffering women. Hey, what is it about you, Zoe? What makes you so right for all these parts? Is that you are a failure in relationships? She would mockingly interrogate herself. Oh, I don't know. If only I did know, she would reply with laughter.
One of the important things about negotiations is to look for the middle ground, because it's never the case that one side is completely right and the other side is completely wrong.
Whatever it was, it all changed when Wanamaker finally decided to tie the knot at the age of 45 in 1994 when she got married to actor and writer Gordon Granger, with whom she previously worked in Bob Hoskins' 1988 film The Tragedy Ronnie. The couple were long-term acquaintances by the moment, and both suffered terrible family losses due to cancer. Zoe of her father's and Gordon that of his wife. This grief brought them together, and in 2 years they got married. They didn't have kids of their own, yet Zoe has never regretted the fact and eagerly took on the role of, as she joked, the wicked stepmother to Granger's 2 children.
I don't remember coming to your confirmation.
I don't remember having one.
Oh dear.
But you sent a very nice check on my 21st birthday, so I would say your duties are done.
It has been an over a half-century-long career. Launched with a self-doubt and search for identity, it nevertheless turned into a standalone masterpiece pathway of its own. A rare example of a truly versatile actor's portfolio that escaped the curse of a cookie-cutter typecast star. Well, still, I guess there could be a perfectly quintessential label that might be attached to most, if not all, the heroines Zoe played on stage or on screen. Strong, quirky women, the quirkier the better, the actress would say herself. Today, there is finally no fear holding her back. If it scares me, then it's worth doing. Thank you for being with me today, celebrating Zoe Wanamaker, one of the most beloved actresses on both sides of the Atlantic. Who knows which new role of hers would surprise us next? Meanwhile, I wish you all the best. Take care and see you very soon in one of my other videos. Bye!
You and I are elephants, you know. We're good at remembering.
No, Mama. We are the human beings. And human beings, mercifully, they can forget.